Hello everyone, I'm Taku. For this episode, I'd like to talk about the impact of natural disaster on medical students who experienced a collective tragedy in Japan. Although Americans may be more familiar with 9/11 as a natural disaster, Japanese people are likely to also identify with 3/11 when natural disaster struck Japan. 80 years ago, on March 11, 2011, Japan experienced the largest earthquake on record, which caused a tsunami that devastated Tohoku, or the Pacific coastline of northeastern Japan. This earthquake and tsunami then had a domino effect, which triggered the Fukushima No. 1 nuclear power plant meltdowns and the release of radioactive materials. All three disasters are linked together in leading to nearly 16,000 people dying and displacing another 470,000 people from their homes. This was by far the largest nuclear accident since the 1986 Chernobyl disasters. In response to such disasters, scientists seek to study the immediate and long-term impact of accidents from various angles, and this has led to socio and political consequences that affect future considerations for Japan going forward as a nation. As a psychologist, I have joined a research team that is conducting a series of studies with inhabitants who remained in the affected area. Our results are still preliminary and further investigation is warranted. But for the past 2 decades, research has suggested that PTG could occur in both survivors who experienced collective trauma and the first responders who assist in the aftermath. Our team focused on the responses of inhabitants who were medical students in training. We expected that the medical students were a unique group, as they were simultaneously survivors who were also receiving training or assisting other survivors. Their ongoing training was disrupted by these catastrophes, leaving them in a more vulnerable state than more experienced doctors, while some still volunteered their services to help the community. It is critical to investigate their potentially unique reactions, but there had been almost no prior studies that investigated PTG while transitioning into the role of a first responder. We therefore designed a study to investigate how medical students' immediate emotional reactions and their engagement in volunteer activities for March 11th, or lack thereof, may affect PTG. What we found after surveying nearly 500 medical students was that less than 1/3 had volunteered, and these volunteers were more likely to have seen or known someone who was injured in the disaster, and or had their hometowns affected. Medical students who felt typically negative emotions, such as feeling confused, angry, sad, guilty, or anxious in the months immediately after the disaster, actually reported a higher level of PTG. In addition, those who volunteered after the accident also reported a higher level of PTG, especially in the domain of personal strength. This means they felt more self-reliant or capable than they previously thought they were. Additional involvement in different types of relief efforts, such as cleaning up debris, fundraising, and volunteering in medical clinics, on average, led to becoming more confident and competent in their professional roles. Although this study cannot determine cause and effect, we could at least see some potential benefits of including medical students in the disaster relief team. It is important to note that the radioactive contamination may have hindered volunteer involvement even when students wanted to help, since outdoor activities in contaminated areas were not just discouraged but forbidden. Although our study suggested some potential benefits of volunteering, individual results may vary. This is especially true when society's expectations are beyond their current capabilities or possibilities. The triple disaster of March 11th of an earthquake, tsunami, and a nuclear accident means that although the area could be slowly rebuilt, there is still great uncertainty regarding the most contaminated areas. This means that there are still more questions to answer, difficulties to address, and more opportunities for involvement in recovery and growth. Thank you for listening. I look forward to talking more about the impact of collective trauma on PTG in a future episode. Thanks.